All right. Good morning, gathered and scattered. Well, right now it's Friday morning at the gathering, and this is the Dive Deeper video to follow Sunday's message. And Sunday's going to be a great time together because once again we get to recognize and just agree with God on ordination, because we've got a deacon that will be ordaining this Sunday morning. So the messages all Sunday morning are about relationships, but more specifically about servant leadership. And interestingly enough, in Acts chapter 6, where the apostles call the congregation together, and they recognize and realize that, wait a minute, some things are getting overlooked, as if that never happened before, right? Some things are getting overlooked. Some things need to be covered. There's some things that are important that we're not getting done, and so we need somebody to do those things. Guess what? That's been the case in every congregation I've ever pastored. There's some things that could be done. There's some things that other people need to be doing. There's some things that maybe you in the pew ought to be involved in and doing. And so Sunday's messages on servant leadership and just the acknowledgement of Stephen Begab as a deacon, these are things that we want to recognize and celebrate and highlight. And yet I began to think about this servant leadership thing because I'll be sharing from the book of Acts Sunday morning. But I went back to a passage in Jesus' ministry, and this is what was cool about it. You know, Jesus is hanging out with 12 guys. You know, I don't know if you've ever hung out with 12 guys, so 13 of them, plus some hangers-on probably, hanging out with the crowd, going with them as they traveled. But Jesus and the 12 were traveling through Galilee, and as they came to Capernaum, in Mark chapter 9, they get to a place to stop, so to speak, and Jesus, knowing the hearts of all men, asked these guys, what were y'all talking about? Ever done that with somebody before? You know, you overheard something, maybe you heard your name mentioned in a conversation, or maybe you heard something you're interested in mentioned in a conversation, and what are you talking about? Well, Jesus overheard maybe what they were talking about, but knowing their hearts, absolutely knew what they were talking about. And so in Mark chapter 9, they didn't answer because they didn't want to admit it. They didn't want to have to confess that they were having a debate over which one of them was the greatest, right? All right, so Jesus, of course, is the greatest, and you can hear a John or a Peter or one of these guys going, yeah, of course Jesus is the greatest, but of us, on the second tier, which one of us is the greatest? I mean, Jesus spends a lot of time with Peter. Yeah, you get a lot of attention, but you know what? John, man, Jesus really loves you. You know, we can see how much Jesus loves you, John. You know, so they're having this debate, and then the two brothers are arguing left and right, and Mama's already gotten into the conversation, and so Jesus goes, what are y'all talking about? So then in 9:35, Mark chapter 9, verse 35, this is what he says, sitting down. Now we just got serious because Jesus is walking along, and all of a sudden he makes them aware that your conversation is absolutely inappropriate, so let's sit down and talk about it. And so he sits down and he calls the 12, you 12, because guess what? There are folks who are kind of hanging out with them. There's still those folks looking for a fish sandwich. There's still those folks looking for free health care, those kind of things. So he calls the 12 in a little closer, and he said to them, if anyone, not just you 12, but if anyone wants to be first, he must be last and servant of all. Whoa. We don't teach that in our culture. We don't teach that in our society. We hardly teach it in our families. So when the congregation of believers in Acts got together and the apostles said, pick 7 men from among you. He gave and this will be Sunday, he gives this outline of what they're looking for. How did they know? Because this was the character and the identity and the activity of these 7 men that we'll talk about Sunday morning. So Jesus was already teaching his followers to serve. Who do you serve? Let's in the Dive Deeper discussion this week, answer that question, who do you serve? Now, it's easy for us as Christians to go, well, we serve God. Sounds very righteous. But think about in every day, who in your family do you serve? I know moms, well, they have a platform to stand on right here. I do the dishes, I do the cleaning, I do the laundry, I clean. I remember my mom, she may watch this video one day, my mom used to talk about it. But the question is, do you look? Are you conscious of the opportunity to serve in your home, in your community, up and down your street, out in public? I mean, you know, somebody struggling with something coming out of Walmart that they can't carry. You know, just last week I was at Sam's Club and a lady was loading cases of water from her shopping cart into her car. And just as I got there, she put the last one in there. And I thought, man, if I'd been 5 minutes earlier, I could have put those in her car for her. Now, that doesn't make me a great servant. But that's the point. We need to be looking at how we can serve. So if there aren't automatic opportunities, then maybe we need to start creating opportunities. And I'm going to give you one little example. We used to have youth groups, mission groups come to Baltimore. And we would send them to the shopping centers with brooms to just sweep the sidewalk. Guess what happened? People would ask questions. What are you doing? Sweeping. Why? Just because we love you in Jesus. Creates conversations. We'd go wash windows at shopping centers. Not me personally, but the groups who came into the mission area there at Baltimore. It was a cool opportunity to go out and serve the community. How do you serve? What does serving look like in your life? Is there immediately, right now, in this moment, or in the next hour, or in the next day, an opportunity that you can serve, or an opportunity that you can create to serve someone else? Jesus said, if anyone wants to be first, he must be last and serve. Of all, who are you serving? Thanks, and have a great day.